What is this?
I don't know. Like, I just wanted to not really feel it. And I just kind of, like, was like, oh, whatever. Like, my fault. Like, shouldn't have done that. Like, shouldn't have gone to that party. Shouldn't have...
Oh, cool. It's super fucking
situation,
quiet again. Good job. Oh, wait, never mind. That was
and
me.
then,
My bad.
right after that, and, like, not even a month later is when the situation happened with the streamer. And even when I was at that party, I'm like, okay, I'm with my friends and I'm safe. Like, these are the people I went with, and these are the people who are going to be with me throughout the night. So these people are going to protect me. And they did, because, you know, things happened that were bad, but, like, I don't want to say it could have been worse, because people use that as an argument. Well, he didn't do all this, so it doesn't make it okay. But the people that were there to protect me and keep an eye on me that night ended up doing so, and I'm really grateful for that, because, like, my mind wanders all the time of, like, it could have been worse, but it still doesn't make my feelings invalid, and it still doesn't make it okay. And that's what I feel like a lot of people fail to realize.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
How you doing right now?
I'm okay. I don't know. Honestly.
Okay.
It just feels like...
Time, teenage girls have been getting pregnant on. It is not. In fact, ever since the beginning of time, teenage girls have been getting pregnant. It used to be more common. The peak, ever since they started keeping records of these things, which they only started doing recently, like in the 20th century, but ever since they started keeping records, in 1957 was the peak for teenage pregnancy. 1957. Not 2009,
well, back
not
then,
today.
All of them were supposed to have kids. Like, that's when you had kids.
That's my point, okay? So to all of a sudden act like this phenomenon of girls getting pregnant at a young age that we consider young, 16 or 17, to act like it's a new thing is ridiculous. It's always been that way. Even biologically, and this is me just stating, right now I'm going to start by just stating facts. So fact number one, it's not a new phenomenon. Fact number two, in fact, it's a phenomenon that was more common earlier in history, and for, you know, the first 6,000 to 10,000 years of human existence, it was a normal thing. Fact three, girls between the ages of like 17 and 24 is when they're technically most fertile.
Yeah.
Okay? That's biological. That's a fact, all right? I'm just stating facts. That's all I'm doing. But what happened recently, and this is the fourth fact, recently in the last 30 years or so, we decided that that's way too young to start a family.
Why?
And because now
divorce rates would probably go up, and once you're that young, you can't really make sure that you know.
No, girls are no.
Because girls were getting married early, and marriages were lasting longer. You very rarely hear about like these relationships that go to their your diamond anniversary, your 50th anniversary, and all this. That's a dying breed of people out there.
Yeah, and those were all people that got married very young. That's why
they're still alive.
Yeah, that's why you can have someone in their 70s who's celebrating their 55th wedding anniversary because they got married when they were teenagers. So what I'm saying is that the problem is not per se teenage pregnancy; it's unwed pregnancy. That's the problem in society. It's only problematic when you are not married and you don't have the man there to help you take care of the kids because he's a coward. And the reason why we have that now are for two reasons. Because we have in current society, we live in the age of extended adolescence.
Matt Walsh is an idiot. There's so many good things to criticize him for.
It is not. In fact,
God, fuck, I hate these people. I hate all of these fucking people. Matt Walsh is an idiot, but he's not advocating for the impregnation of girls as young as 16. That's not what he's saying. Oh, dude, I hate all of these fucking people that do media and alternative media and everybody. Why can't anybody just honestly phrase like what somebody's saying? Why just give the honest argument? Like what Matt Walsh is saying here, there's stuff to criticize here that's stupid, but he's not saying that, he's not advocating for the impregnation of 16-year-old girls.
How hard it was for me, and you've expressed similar things that have happened to you, and then it's like, then it just feels like you weren't really listening.
Right.
It feels like they weren't really listening, or they just didn't really care. And I understand, because it's like, I
Okay,
really
if we do 100
understand
crude,
putting your career first, because I was unfortunately like trying to save my career when it first came out, and the woman gave me like an ultimatum, like, oh, like, you want to protect your career, or you want to
Who's
say the full
I mean,
thing.
actually, you don't have to name people, but
Yeah.
I'm not asking.
The person in the room, the boardroom.
Okay,
people.
got it. Okay, so I was like, which
So
the woman?
when I was given that ultimatum, I guess I was semi-selfish in trying to meet in the middle, because I did want.
can you cover the current situation with OPEC? How does
protect my
OPEC slashing oil
career.
production by
I
2
still
million barrels a
wanna
day
say
help
something,
Putin? I have
but
no
I still
idea.
wanted
I'd
to
have to-
protect my career, and I guess
My brain is in
I
factorial.
couldn't
That's the only
have
oil I
taken
care
it
about right
too,
now, okay?
Because then it just ended up both things going down the drain. I ended up losing both. I wasn't able to say my full truth, and my career went down the drain because I was blacklisted from these events, and rumors were spread about me. And it's really unfair, because I lost a lot of friends that I originally moved across the country for. And it's really sad. Like, I moved all the way here just for me to lose these friends because somebody decided to touch me when I was asleep. Like, it's so clear cut. It's like, I was asleep. Like, I was asleep. Like, I don't understand how people are like, well, blah, blah, blah. Like, they try to put me in any other situation. I was literally asleep. Like, I try to emphasize that so much, because I don't feel like people are listening. And like, when I hear people go against it, it's like, what? Like, I was asleep. Like, how is there any way that I could have consented when I was asleep? So that was just really frustrating. But the main thing that was really frustrating is hearing these rumors about me. And like, one of the rumors I heard from someone I have not even talked to, who ended up being close friends with that person. I heard it from a friend, so it was like, gave a telephone, but I heard that I am like a whore who tries to sleep with all the Austin streamers, and that like I'm a slut and a whore and just, or a bitch or whatever, and they just try to like say these really hard things about me, because they want to make a reason for it to be okay.
For what?
I
What to
realize.
be okay?
They want to make a reason for me being touched when I was asleep to be justifiable in their mind, because they know their friend fucked up, but they don't want, instead of being like, dude, fuck you, to like the person who did it, they're just finding reasons to hate me and make it okay that it happened to me. In their own brain, in whoever else's brain, like, oh, well, it's okay that happened to her because she's a bitch. It's okay that it happened to her because she tries to sleep with Austin streamers. And I should even have to go and say this, but I have not slept with a single Austin streamer in my life, which is like insane that like there was such a rumor going around that was the case. So
what I'm just to kind of clarify. So it sounds like you heard a rumor, and you're trying to make sense of who would start this rumor and what they must be thinking.
yeah.
But if I'm hearing this, and if this is, because I'm just kind of noticing that there's like a lot of like low quality information floating around, right? Like people like rumor mills and this and that. But I'm not hearing, and you feel very confident that you've been blacklisted.
Yeah. I was like not super confident. It was just speculation up until one of my friends at the time. We were just having a good time and he just randomly said this. I'm like, what? Why didn't you tell me this before? But he said to me, oh yeah, like I got a message from the person who touched me when we were streaming together. at saying that he was really triggered that I was hanging out with you and never to do that again. And then I was like, what the hell? And then recently I ended up seeing those screenshots for the first time, and it's like, Jesus Christ. And then after I came out about it, it was more of like a wave of people being like, yes, I was told not to hang out with you. Yes, here's a screenshot of me being told not to hang out with you. Like, I just, all of my, like, theories in my head after that one thing that was told to me confirmed came true. And I just heard this wave of people saying, like, I was told not to hang out with you, this, and this, here's a screenshot. And it was just really sad that they never said anything before. But now that it was, like, popular for me to speak my truth, instead of to keep quiet about it, it was easier to say.
I see. So is your career as a streamer, like, is it GG? How do you see it now?
Sorry.
Well, I have like a 9 to 5 right now, but I'm not going to give up on content creation because I love content creation, and I'm not doing it for the numbers. It was really awesome to be able to do it for a full-time job, but I'm not doing it for the numbers. I'm doing it because I love it, you know. And a lot of people come into my chat, and this is something recent. Like, I got a lot of viewers, obviously, when I was addressing the situation initially, and then I went kind of back down. And a lot of people have been like, here's your view count. Good job trying to clout farm, whore. And it's like, bruh. Like, at the end of the day, I love to stream, and I loved my community. Like, and I love making videos and YouTube videos. It's, like, not something I'm just gonna give up, you know?
Destiny, I never
like
see you
I
push
pay
back against
attention
claims
to
of patriarchy
everything
yet.
I
Your
do for the
usual
numbers.
depiction of
I'm not
society is
gonna
one
sit
of
here and run
nuance, where
around
men
and
have
go,
both some advantages and disadvantages.
This
How do you reconcile the
many
two, and
viewer
should you?
You should respect me.
I think that men have generally, for a long time, been like in the dominating force, like the dominant power, like have had most of the advantages. There are definitely disadvantages and advantages, but men, for the most part, have gotten the better end of the deal, I would say, for sure. But I don't know if that's, it depends on the argument I'm having, whether or not it's worth getting into that or not.
It's just fun. Like, the people I met through streaming is really, like, kind of wholesome, and, like, a lot of people, like,
Multi-cracking gets you
being able to
10%
make
more
those
petrol with Prod
connections
Module 3?
is
I don't
really
think that's true.
awesome.
Fuck
Like,
you,
my
I just did the
best
math.
friend, she lived in Chicago before this, and then I made
Fuck
her move
you,
down
does
here
it?
with me. So now we're, like, twin. But, like, we like
I
hang
miss
out
something?
and, like, have fun and stuff. And like, a lot of people that I met through streaming, like, and my other friend moved here. Like, a lot of people that I, like, really love and, like, care about moved here, and I get to hang out with them. And
The image you looked at
Nice.
proved it? Was it using space exploration
yeah,
things?
but
Because
I've always loved video. Like, video is my main passion.
So I think space
because
exploration
went
is
to
different
film school
ratios.
Because I was like, well, if I'm not gonna be a YouTuber, I might as well edit movies or something. So
And do you feel like, Adrianah, you're how do you feel about our conversation today?
I feel like
fine, fuck you. I'm just gonna do all of it as.
anxious, I guess. Like, I feel like I'm glad. Like, I feel like we touched on a lot of topics so far that were really good. That I didn't even realize, but I also feel like anxious because I'm just waiting for someone to clip anything I said and be like, well, look at this. So, but I guess that's just something I need to get over because it's gonna happen for a while now.
I was gonna say, I find it, I've been trying to steer clear of clippable stuff, but I mean, of course, there's always something, but
There's always gonna be something.
but,
so
but I
it's
mean,
okay.
it wasn't. I've certainly done worse. I'll say that.
Okay.
Is it okay if I just kind of share with you like what I heard from you about this conversation and maybe like just add a couple of my own thoughts? And then if there's anything that's, I think we're having this conversation for kind of like important reasons with a capital
Yeah.
I. And so I just want to make sure that we kind of touched on everything that we needed to with sufficient depth, because we still do have some time. And if there's something like more that we need to dive into or talk about, I'd love to do that. So the first thing is that it sounds like you've had your own personal struggle with all of this experience around sexual assault, around dealing with guilt, dealing with shame, thinking about what you could have done differently. Once again, a lot of that sort of almost like not holding other people responsible at the very beginning and really focusing on what you could have done, which is very natural, by the way. And there's actually like brain science that explains why we do that. And so it sounds like you had sort of come to some degree of peace, but then what I'm kind of really noticing, or what I felt like I heard, is that it felt to me like you got strapped into a roller coaster, and then the roller coaster started moving. And then you didn't really you weren't there's no wheel on a roller coaster. It's not, it ain't no Mario Kart. There's no steering wheel. It's once you board. So even like the initial disclosure that there was a sexual assault was like not your choice. People are kind of entering your space and telling you how it's going to be. I'm going to try to do my best to give people kind of the benefit of the doubt, and as I'm not hearing threats per se, but more like, hey, you need to really think about what you're going to say and like how it could be perceived, because like this is the world that we live in, and there's a lot of drama farming and clout chasing and all this kind of stuff. But I'm really kind of just feeling like the conversation just got taken out of your hands and became particular things. Then people are weighing in. And then you didn't want to like disappoint anyone, right? You didn't want to like get on anyone's blacklist, which you've managed to do anyway.
Yeah, and in trying to take the middle, I just end up
and
falling.
Yep. And I have some thoughts about that I'll share in a second. But and then I think that there's just a lot of and then once it kind of came out, then there's all the victim blaming that goes on and,
Wait, hold on
and
one
things
sec.
like that.
Okay.
Like with you, and so I think sometimes that can I've seen that kind of thing happen, and I kind of want to give people the benefit of the doubt. I think that that's one end of the spectrum. The other end of the spectrum is people will try to pick apart your story, right? And it's like, if you were asleep, how did you even know? You know, and they'll operate in a lot of different ways because they're having, because they don't believe you, or they don't believe their friend is capable of something like this. And I think that also goes to, we think about people as good people or bad people, but I think most people think of themselves as good people.
True.
And I
Destiny Watcher.
A lot of people will do bad things, and they'll do it because they thought they were doing right. Or that it was acceptable or whatever. And I think sometimes we forget that good people can commit sexual assaults. What we think of as good people. And
yeah, because most, sorry to interrupt, but most sexual assaults are like, people think like, oh my gosh, like you're gonna get pulled into an alley and someone's just gonna like take advantage of you right then and there. But it's like most sexual assaults are people that like like it can be anybody like that, it's a coworker, friend, a teacher, whatever. Like it's not usually, well, like there's a very low like percentage of it that is just like dark alley, whatever. But a lot of it is mostly by people that the victim knows. So
absolutely. So I think about 2/3 of sexual assaults are committed by people that know them, and usually also not even necessarily like distant acquaintances, but oftentimes friends, a family, bosses, employees, coworkers, like people that you may even know well. And so just kind of going back to like what I kind of
Not at
wanted to say is
DGG
that
LLC.
as
We have a
people
0%
started to
rape
express
incidents.
skepticism
Very
and-
safe place to
and
work
victim
at for
blaming and
women.
stuff like that. It kind of
We
like
love
brings
women
up
here.
for you like all the shame and guilt and stuff that you have already dealt with.
Yeah, for sure.
And then what happens is people make you responsible for ruining someone's career. It's not the act that they committed.
Yeah.
And I've
Literally.
seen that in very closely as a clinician, and even in terms of families, like, oh my God, you're tearing this family apart. If you say something like that, it'll tear the family apart. And it's like, what tore the family apart is sexual assault.
Yeah.
And then it sounds like there have been consequences for you, very real consequences. I'm also hearing that it's been a challenge for you from and now I'm going to kind of focus a little bit more on just things that I heard you say and just how you kind of approach stuff. So I'm hearing that there's weak Adrianah. Weak Adrianah feels things, but also doesn't get stuff done, because you can't feel things and get shit done at the same time, right? Those are like, there's like strong Adrianah who gets things done, and weak Adrianah who does not get things done.
Yeah.
And even then, I mean, I think I mentioned something about, I don't get the sense that anyone's like looking out for you in a weird way, like yourself included. It sounds to me like, oftentimes what can happen in people who have experienced trauma is like they just learn early on that they're not worth it, that you don't have value. So like, who cares about what, you like, people will just be taught that we don't care about what you want. Like, oh, like here's Adrianah having a breakdown, being hospitalized for psychiatric reasons, and you're making it all about you and your attention seeking. Oh my God, you're doing it for attention. So I'm just trying to imagine if you're 14 years old or whatever and something like that happens, like what do you think
Does
about
DGG hate
how-
Dr. K now? Well, there's a lot of Max fans in here that hate Dr. K, so probably. There's an annoying thing that you guys do. I don't know how to get you out of it, but like anytime there's somebody you don't like, every single thing they say becomes not true. You did it to the women yesterday on that show. People are doing it to Dr. K right now. Dr. K's not saying anything controversial whatsoever right now. One of the most irritating things sometimes about like sexual assault is you are the least important thing about the sexual assault. Like, well, if you say this, it's going to damage this person's career. It's going to tear this friend group apart. It's going to have these ramifications for these people. Like, are you sure this is really the right to blah, blah, blah? Like, usually you're the last person that matters to a lot of people in the sector. That's not controversial at all. It's like the least controversial thing ever. But because some of you guys are like huge Dr. K haters now for whatever reason, now it's like everything he says is super controversial. Like,
yeah, I mean, this past time it was pretty important to me, but it being like quiet for a while just reinforced those feelings like nobody cares, like nobody cares about me, and those feelings were really reinforced as like friends just started to drop. And it's like I express the feelings to my friends in private a lot, and I sometimes I feel like I would just talk about it too much because I would just be so hurt by it. And it made me realize, like, when I did do it for me and when I did express these feelings for me, people didn't care either. So I always told myself, when I get bigger as a content creator, I'm going to come out about it for me. But I ended up being granted an opportunity to talk about it without having to become a bigger creator in the first place. And I'm very grateful for the opportunity, but it's, I'm still facing repercussions regardless, and I still would. And I had to realize that, but it's better than like suffering in silence and seeing that person continue to do things towards women, you know, because the main thing that just made me most uncomfortable was hearing that, like, he was also continuing that behavior towards multiple other women. And that's when I really, like, just took it upon myself, like, this isn't for me anymore. And, you know, I feel good having my story being out, but it's not really for me. And the main reason the main thing I think about.
Yeah, I think that I think a lot of sexual assault victims have come forward and have made the world a better place because of that.
I mean, I feel like, sorry to interrupt, but I feel like that really helped me realize, like, what happened to me was wrong in terms of, like, other incidents, because when the Me Too thing came out originally, I think it was like 2017.
How much water a day do you drink? As much as
like
my
with
body
Hollywood
needs.
and everything. I was reading some of the stories and I was like, wait, what? Like, this, really? Like, this isn't okay? And it made me, like, I was able to process the fact that I got sexually assaulted when I was 14. I was able to process that at 17 and realize, like, yo, that wasn't okay. Because for those years in between, I'm just sitting there, like, telling myself, like,
Grateful to be alive.
I really liked him, you know, like,
Press 1,
it's
chat.
okay that he did that to me.
Wake up happy, grateful to be alive, easy clap.
There's no way you're eating that much oil. Is that what you eat in the morning? 2 cups of vegetable oil, you eat that?
No, I ate 1 pancake.
Grateful to be alive.
Isn't it, I could be totally wrong. Isn't vegetable oil, like, generally, like, pretty chill? Does it really matter that much? I have no idea. I thought that, like, if you want to lube pans up, then you use vegetable oil. But if you want to lube pans up and you want it to taste good, you use butter. I always thought vegetable oil was like the chill version of buttering everything. Because if you want to make stuff taste good, I don't know if you use oil at all. I think you just fucking use butter for fucking everything. For steak, for pancakes, for literally everything. You just butter the fuck. I thought oil was supposed to be like the good alternative. I have no idea. Maybe not.
Normal, and it felt like by the time I was in a relationship,
Oil
with
is the
someone
most
for 9
calorie dense
months
stuff you
before
can
we
eat.
ever
Canola
did
oil is the best.
anything.
Gotcha.
And when I did, it was just
1 cup of vegetable oil is 2,000 calories.
so
I don't think
hard.
I've ever used a cup of vegetable oil ever. Usually you just pour a little to dial up the pan and then you like spread it around. I don't know what a cup of oil looks like, I guess.
didn't. My body didn't react to it very well, so it made me realize, like, why is this happening? Like, is this normal? Like, am I just gay? Like, I had a feeling I was like bi at the time, but I was like, damn, like, am I just gay? Like, I don't understand. Like, why is this happening? I didn't understand until I was 17, like a year after, because then we ended up breaking up. But I was 17 and I read about Me Too stories, and I'm like,
Oil maxing, true.
and I like realized how other people processed it, and I read a lot about it, and I was like, oh my god, like, this thing that happened to me when I was 14, like, that wasn't okay. It wasn't okay. And all these years I just tried to make it seem okay. But
Yeah, I think one of the most unfortunate things after traumatic experiences, especially sexual ones, is, you know, you feel not okay, but you should feel okay. And then what you end up doing is contorting yourself to, like, fit back into society, right? Because, like, there's a part of you that's sort of, like, twisted out of shape. And then, like, you're like, wait, this is twisting out of shape. It doesn't feel right on the inside. But instead of, like, twisting it back into shape, we twist the rest of us. And then when we try to plug back in, we don't fit.
yeah.
And then it causes all kinds of problems, like, you know, romance, intimate relationships.
Do you think
things
this is
like
going to be
that.
enough?
And the biggest problem is that we don't really know, like,
should
and
I do
then
2
since we've,
rows?
like, twisted out of shape and we don't fit, then it becomes an us problem. Like, it's my fault now that I'm so fucked up I can't,
Or I should do 1 more
you know,
module.
connect with another
That's what we
human
should do.
being. Like, I should be able to do this. Like, what's wrong with me? When what really starts is
Yeah.
that original problem. and then we start to take ownership of the whole thing. And the other thing, I really appreciate you sharing all of your perspectives and experiences, because I think, honestly, Adrianah, this is not talked about enough. So one of the most bizarre things is, like, you know, we talk about
Vegetable oil is more calories than butter for the
it's
same amount. Well, then why the fuck do some people
traumatizing.
use vegetable oil?
Whereas, honestly, the most, like, clinical, this is an anecdotal experience, but the most common reaction that I see from people is something that you said earlier, which is, it's whatever.
Yeah.
Because butter burns over medium
And, like,
heat.
people don't realize that that is kind of like a very common reaction.
Weird. Okay. Because
And
they're
then it's
vegetarian.
like-
Olive oil is super tasty.
People say, like, oh, well, you said it was whatever before, and now you're saying something about it. And it's like,
Not everything is good when it tastes like butter. Is that true, though? I thought butter was like salt and pepper. Can't you add butter to almost anything and
I
it'll
don't know,
taste
like,
better?
The first bit longer, obviously,
Is that a
happened,
Midwestern
I-
thing? Is that an American thing?
We ended up agreeing to say, like, I was obviously persuaded to say that it was harassment, not assault. And it's crazy that everyone's like, you changed your story, you changed your story. The story is still the same. It's just there's more vocabulary words this time. And because it's the same story, I was touched, my chest was touched. Like, my chest region was touched. It said that the first time.
Oh, chest or
Sorry for
chest
not saying
region?
boob the first time, because I guess I should have said boob the first time for people to take me seriously.
Booba.
Because all
That's
the
not
facts were
appropriate. I'm
there.
sorry. Just kidding.
It just said, oh, well, it's sexual harassment instead of assault or whatever. Because I was asked to put that in there. But then it's like running someone over in your car, but then telling someone, like, oh, I didn't run them over. And it's like, well, I see right there that you did. Well, I didn't. Oh, then it must be true. Then it must, what you're saying must be true. Because I literally said, my chest was touched. But then there's my little cliff side note that was asked to be put in there. This is assault, or harassment, not assault. And then everyone's like, oh, well, you did just tell us you got assaulted, but you just said it's harassment, not assault. So we're just going to take that and run with it. It's like, and now people are like, well, you're changing your story. And it's like, I'm really not. Like, go read the first tweet longer again. I'm just being more expressive of how it made me feel and saying boob instead of chest this time, because I guess that makes it more valid for people.
In the sick call slip initially. I had been telling officers for days